finally see where the pre-game lobby chat
is spicy.
It's getting weird. Now, we're moments away from G2 Esports versus SK Gaming. SK have it's been a bit of a struggle lately. Quite a bit of time, actually. So we'll see if they can step up against G2 today, because if there's one thing you can rely on G2 to do, it's surprise you. And the loss here would be surprising. But let's see who's got the edge in draft as we get ready for picks and bans. Yes, Berlin. Channel your energy into it. Like a spirit bomb of public opinion.
I like that the teams have kind of unofficially just agreed to mutual ban Yuumi Melio, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like both red and blue lose a ban, you know?
I agree.
There it is. The blue side Yuumi ban into red side Melio ban. This is like one of the most stock standard pick and bans that we normally see. Normally Maokai or Nico would follow up next, depending on what G2 want to prioritize.
Melio first, though. Draven.
They want to see Han Summer Draven.
Or they want it banned.
Khan. So that means Nico or Maokai is up. And let me tell you, G2's locking in either or. Like, they will pick either one of those.
Are they cooking this game, or are they going to keep it stock standard is the question.
Come on, SK, what are you going to let them have? What is your plan? Maybe leave both open. Maybe you trade.
Is that a good deal? Nico's the choice. Maokai for Sejuani would be super cool. That would be so sick and unheard of. So Maokai for now locked in, obviously just very strong.
Don't you dare do Sejuani Zeri. Don't you dare, SK. Don't.
Maokai, passive.
What about, like, you know, Wukong? What about Trundle?
No. Actually,
Kane?
Markoon Wukong has not been hitting. I love Markoon on a jungler that ganks. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And Wukong can't gank.
What about Kane? We saw Canyon do that one time at Worlds, and we all had a great time.
But it wasn't about ganks. Canyon just did some wacky stuff in the jungle pathing.
Oh, look, it's Aphelios
Sejuani.
Sejuani. By any chance, are we going to see a Zeri Lulu response?
Well, they always hover Nivea, but I am guessing Zeri Lulu.
Because fans, this is exactly what you asked for. You better get hyped.
Do you want to? I'm sorry. I don't know if they're convinced that you actually want to see the Draven, Berlin.
You're very tame considering.
Yeah, are you gonna? Oh, it's a Braum.
They were expecting to.
Oh, damn. Okay, I don't care about Draven anymore. That's old news.
That's old news.
That's spicy. Time to Google. Forgot what all those ability names
are. It's the spitting void monster. Nice.
That's all I needed.
Rageblade. That's what we expect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's some tech that I haven't seen, like
Rageblade,
some Infinity Edge Kog'Maw that I don't know about, or Gale Force Kog'Maw,
highest DPS item for sure. The question is, do they have something special cooked up for it? But certainly Braum Kog'Maw, a lot of synergy, and it's scaling 80 carries going toe-to-toe. So while we might see a game that's all about late game, at least the 80 carries are keeping it.
So what abilities do you remember?
There's Bio Arcane Barrage, which I'm pretty sure is the
Bio-Arcane
Caustic
Barrage?
Spittle, Void Ooze, Living Artillery is the alt. W is the Bio-Arcane Barrage.
Oh.
So I don't remember the passive. Acathian Surprise. Oh my god, I'm not even looking at the screen.
Look at you, you're so good.
That's right, years of conditioning. I'm like Spartans trained from birth to be soldiers.
Does this Q still remove armor, magic resistance, or did they change
attack
that?
speed? Nope, still shreds armor and magic resistance. Yep.
Yeah, it just gives that buff, doesn't it? When you just get attack speed.
Zuzashlikis, and Grief's Tempo.
I don't think that's been changed in years, man.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it doesn't have to be. People have complained about the passive for a long time, though. But,
yeah, true.
We'll
see if Han Summer gets full value out of it.
That's the... Yeah, that's a classic. That's a classic Kog'Maw joke right there. Maximizing passive value. Okay, so for now, Jace's still going to be banned away. Makes sense when you have a Braum on the enemy team. Don't want to give them any of that double 80 carry.
What if the twist is, again, G2, Cog mid?
AP?
Yeah.
Static Shiv Night Harvester?
What if that's the... you know what I mean? You've always got to be mindful. Again, I see a zebra.
Well, G2, I think, are the zebra team. They're the team that you're never allowed to think horse. You always got to expect the unexpected. Because they could have just picked Draven here, which, given what we've seen from Han Summer this year, would have made a lot of sense.
I'm just also saying Kog'Maw used to be a counter to Azir. So if Azir is locked in as well, maybe they can see into the future.
You're keeping it, you're like the angles here. Now, Aphelios top was played a couple times, so this could be a Draven
was it?
lock in here. Yeah, I think it's shy play, but I think it's solo queue.
Oh, okay.
And he was also much more OP on that particular patch. Okay, so it's the Azir. It's the scaling showdown.
So what are we going to get, G2? Obviously top lane somewhere. K'Sante probably going to be locked in. Maokai K'Sante is probably the most common blue side second rotation draft I've seen. You obviously have a lot of options. Front to back, still the name of the game for both sides, unsurprisingly. When are we going to get Ornn back is my question.
Yeah, how deep into the sauce do we need to go?
Oh, what a shocker. It's K'Sante Maokai. Wow. Who could have seen it coming?
All right.
Oh, are we cooking, G2?
This would be a bold decision.
Yeah, they're just
this
teasing
would also be
with our
bold.
hearts. They're just
all of these things are very bold.
Yeah, none of it's happening. Don't get excited, audience.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
What are they doing?
Whoa,
Syndra.
Syndra. Okay,
Right.
into Azir.
All right.
All right.
It's a mage. It's Cap Syndra. It's fine.
Good setup.
You can enjoy that.
A lot of magic damage though between mid and jungle. It's going to make things easy for Exa if he just wants to go for a cheeky Mark
Sejuani as well on the other side. This is basically what we saw last game.
Just with a Kog'Maw and a Braum.
Yeah. And Syndra instead of a Cassio.
Yeah, so the scaling not really matched on the side of G2. They're going to need Kog'Maw to kind of do double duty here.
Well, this is my question. What does Kog'Maw scaling look like in the current AD carry landscape? Because I'm going to be honest, I have not seen like a lot. Like I can't remember the last time I really watched a full-on professional game of Kog'Maw. I know it has been played.
Yeah.
I think LCK or LPL have had a couple games here or there.
I was looking at solo queue, but that's a good shout. We'll check it out.
But yeah, I'm excited to see how it like scales in the landscape. One of Kog'Maw's biggest issues in the past was always his mobility. He was a easy AD carry to kill.
Well, a champion that can have obviously a massive amount of damage, just can put out a ton of damage, can shred through entire tank lines, can do a ton of work here, even on one or two items. Historically, a champion that you've had like the tank Maw with the Lulu, where it's been able to you build Randuins and you still do 1 million damage. You had the stand still that happened for I think exactly like 4 or 5 patches where he was able to stand still and have 5.0 attack speed and just murder everyone.
Nice.
That was my favorite Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
They took that away from us, understandably.
I remember the good old days of Lulu Kog'Maw, you know, the Juggermaw combo.
Well, we're going to be talking a lot about Kog'Maw in this game, so brace yourself. It's time for G2 versus SK.
So the wonderful stats team have informed me there were 3 games of Kog'Maw in the LPL.
Okay.
I did not watch those games,
Nor did I.
but I
Shout to the stats team.
am familiar with
30 seconds.
Kog'Maw.
Elk played it, and kind of as expected, Ginsu's does seem to be the name of the game.
Yeah.
Fantastic item. Have not seen it built a
So
lot.
when Lethal Tempo originally came out, Kog'Maw was one of the biggest abusers because you used to be able to break the attack speeds limit. And so like his W
I mean, you still can.
just did so much. It was just crazy how much attack speed you had. It was wild.
I hear you, SK
Shout out to the
fans.
SK fans.
Yeah. Stand strong.
Bit of support, want to try and balance out the crowds. Obviously G2 audience is often very prominent.
Oh, they're fighting back now. Active level 1 here. Sertuss had a difficult game yesterday as LeBlanc into the Syndra. See if he can recover. As the fans already fighting it out. G2 going to start in the enemy blue buff.
The deep vision already invested here.
But they're going to be spotted, so Markoon should know exactly what's up.
Here we got wards kind of littered everywhere for early information, but G2 potentially splitting the map here. Wanting to make sure that Hansama has some safety. We'll see what
1, 2.
Yike does do.
Ooh, forcing
Nice
the heal out
trade.
early.
See, this is the thing. Kog'Maw early game, still very powerful. You do have a lot of damage just by taking the W, but obviously it's only within that W window where you are lethal, so it's kind of like small burst trades. So if Mikyx can land the Q, follow that up with a W, you can do a lot of damage.
Yeah. You have a lot of potential as well when you lay down the slow field with the Braum to find that immediate CC Exakick, wisely packing cleanse in this lane.
dodging the wards here. Yike shouldn't have information. A question mark ping did come through. Yike is a little suspicious. We used the sapling to spot out if there is any potential threat.
But it
does
doesn't
have the smite.
see him. Markoon, does he want the objective? No, he wants the tree.
He needs to smite here if he can get it.
He get the smite, the Q, the lockup. He does manage to get it now. He needs to get out. He's got level 3 advantage. Sertuss collapsing.
He's gonna
go forward. Still just trying to hold on. There's no way. The passive, the auto. Oh, he's getting so many resources. They're committing so much just to try to keep Markoon alive. Yike now on the retreat, walking back to the tower. First blood going over to Sertuss. But Yike, not too bad, all things considered.
Yeah, Yike realized that he just needed the Q off cooldown to secure that kill. He needed one more auto at the end of it, but it wasn't quite enough, which means that Markoon walks away with his life, and the blue buff handed over to Sertuss, while Markoon does lose some camps, and he's unlikely going to be able to get those back because Yike makes his way back out onto the map. At least Sertuss will be able to start off the laning phase with the blue buff and first blood.
And he's going to need it. His caps has pressure. Hasn't had to burn too much mana, mostly focused on getting that push, as Sertuss did have to leave lane, but Yike was already 2 camps ahead. Because he's able to smite that away, sorry, that's what cemented the 2-camp lead. It could have been dead even. And he's got the XP advantage as well over Markoon at this point. Is irrelevant. Bullying on the top side. This Gwen looking better and better against K'Sante as we see it more and more here in the LEC.
I mean, I'll also just say that I think Irrelevant's one of the best laning top laners that we have in the league. Yike making his way back towards bot, threatening the dive.
They get the lock up here, Unbreakable down. They need to back away from this one, but the root is there! Mikyx overstaying! Guardian will not be enough. Good patience from Exakick to wait on the root there to ensure that they get something back. The pull back from BrokenBlade, not quite going to connect. Good use of the mist, Irrelevant. Stepping back.
A very botched dive there from G2. Sertuss now in a bit of danger.
Yike not done yet. The flash back, he can knock him back out of tower range. Do they have enough damage to finish Sertuss here? Yike now needs to back away, but Markoon still only level 2. He has not gotten another camp. He's at 4 CS.
Yeah, Yike stealing away the second spawn of the Raptors, knowing that he doesn't have support from his mid lane. As you rightly said, he's so far behind right now. Yike, of course, losing that first blood wasn't ideal, but punishing Sertuss and getting his flash out. Sertuss did a smart thing of trying to flash underneath the tower to then lock up Yike with the assistance of Markoon. Maybe they could have turned that into a kill. Mikyx, though, in a threatening position here. Can they really do anything with the wave where it is?
I think just trying to zone off so they can't poke Hans, it seems.
Let's just go back to that dive earlier, because so basically what happened was Mikyx dived, ignited, and then was like, he has a purple gun, I'm now dead. Yike didn't follow up on the play. They weren't confident in committing to the dive, which means that Mikyx just kind of gave away his life. And it's one of those things where I can't really blame Mikyx for it, because like he's just following the call, right? He's taking that initial tower aggro. He goes in with the W, applies the Q, applies the ignite, and like he's done his job. Now it's the responsibility of Yike and Hansama to make the dive happen, but Markoon covering. So that was the main reason why they didn't execute on the dive. They see the enemy jungler and they realize, oh, actually, we can't commit to this dive anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that there were no camps on the bottom side for Markoon, so they did not anticipate him being
you're
there.
right.
So it seems like the second they saw Markoon, they're like, plays off, and Mickey's like, oh, okay, guys,
Okay,
yeah, that's fine.
Exactly, yeah.
That's no problem at all.
So again, not really Mickey's fault. He's just kind of following the call there.
Yeah, still overall for G2, not a great play, even if it's not individually Mickey's fault. It is going to cost them a little bit, but still Hansama holding on to a 200 gold lead, opting for the early boots too.
And also, like, here's what the good news is for Mikyx. There's a whole level jungle gap between.
Yes.
Like, it's massive because
42 to 16, the CS score.
Yes, it's Yike has been on a clinic in terms of camps being cleared, and that is a huge XP advantage. You can see Markoon has less XP than DOS does, so that's going to be big when it comes to contesting some of these early dragons. Which, with the prio that they do have in bot lane right now, maybe they can look to convert this. Markoon makes his way into the bot river. Caps deciding to hold the lane. If he chooses to push this out, he can look to collapse. But right now, that's not the priority. Instead, he's going to let this slow push towards him.
Yep. If you're an LPL fan, you've heard of Feed the Puppy. That's the Uzi strat. SK need to feed the
That
pig.
is old school.
They need to feed Markoon. Markoon needs to farm. He needs to eat. Pigs will eat anything, please. Just feed him. He's so far behind an XP. See if it costs him, though. Top side. Potential all-ins at every single trade, but as long as either side burns their ult, it's just going to be a battle of pressure. Again, Berlin hungers for blood. They want more. But a quiet game. I mean, SK 2 kills. Gold, though, dead even. The only person who has a gold lead on the side of G2 right now is Yike, which again, not super impactful. When you're a first strike jungler rushing demonic, it will be definitely more impactful than full tank Maokai. But would love to have that gold onto Kog. First item, second item for Kog, very big.
For those interested, it's not a surprise, but Hansama is maxing his W. As you always do. Usually you used to max Q. I'm assuming it's still the same just because of the more attack speed value that it gives you. Maybe the tech has changed though.
Maybe you want a bigger slow. Maybe he goes a hybrid build here with some more AP. Wants that nice juicy burst to the Vedius.
Yeah, Rageblade is a nice spike, I think, for Kog'Maw.
Yeah, excellent first item. Obviously, any champion with natural on-hit effects, it's going to synergize super strongly with.
Yep.
Kog'Maw. You know,
I'm hoping that it's not some weird, like,
no, people have tried
static
Triforce.
shit.
You know, in
Triforce.
LJL,
Do you remember
a few
the-
other leagues as well. And some of
the Gambit AD carry? Do you remember him?
Genja?
It was Genja.
Yep.
Yeah.
Time Lord Genja.
Time Lord Genja with
Was
the
the
original Trinity Force Kog'Maw tech.
My favorite is when people are like 5 years later, the item just, never mind, hold that thought. Yike getting pulled back into the rest of the team. 3 stacks waiting for the 4th on the Braum, but Sertuss is here as well. Yike is going to be in trouble. The second time he's going to die in this exact same area. There's no way out. Sertuss happy to have this kill. And SK doing a great job at just matching all the plays. The G2 are just kind of just trying to overforce.
Well, the biggest thing is Sertuss collapsing first. Twice now he's been able to get to the play before caps. This time around, G2's bot lane was there to assist, unlike that initial jungle invade. But the fact that Sertuss isn't even getting punished that hard, sure, he's losing a little bit of CS now. He'll likely lose this cannon, but he's still ahead in gold because he's been able to find 2 kills, so he's matching caps without any problems, and he's keeping his jungler relevant. Now Markoon has hit level 6. That XP gap has been closed. And you'll see here that, like, you look at this mid lane. The mid lane is most important. Sertuss just sacrificing that wave to collapse with his team. Yike then W's as Markoon goes over the wall. That puts him in a very awkward spot.
Yep.
He chooses not to flash early, which I think is the mistake here. But I guess at that point, I was thinking, oh, he's just accepted his fate, but then he chooses to flash anyway and loses his summoner spell.
And really, Markoon, good Q over the wall, separates the team. Obviously, when the Braum is there to body block a lot of that damage, it's hard to follow up onto Yike, but SK doing a very good job of just punishing G2 here. Gold, slightly in favor of G2 still. Not a lot to be talked about, but once this Herald is taken, the local gold is going to be big there, as well as the potential to take down a few more plates. That said, it is going to cost him a plate on the top side as BrokenBlade is uncontested.
Okay, Herald secured, plates secured, that's great. Drakos, I have to ask a very serious question.
I feel like it's not going to be very
Am I the only one that sees the bonfire from Souls games when I look at the pendant?
No, that's like the okay. Yeah,
See what I mean? It's like the bonfire. That's what I see. That's all I see. Rest, weary traveler. You know?
Yeah, that's a line of dialogue.
I mean, I never actually played Dark Souls 1 through 3.
I know. It makes
But
me
that's
sad
what
every
it means,
day.
right?
I've tried to convince you so many times.
No, man, you don't have a jump. I can never play a game without a jump.
But you know what you have done? That's I've learned recently. Apparently, very difficult. You have
What?
killed the monkey in Sekiro.
Yeah, I
Very
have
difficult.
done that. Yeah,
A lot of people are struggling with it. Right?
yeah.
One person more than anyone else I've ever seen. So.
Wait until he sees the other ones.
Oh, don't spoil it. Great game.
Would recommend.
Yeah. For now,
Dragon.
G2 using the division control to try to contest this one. Objective going to be taken away, but that's TP right behind them. Mikyx already burned the Unbreakable. Now Relevant to the backside, just going to try to tear through Hansama. Cap's going to look for the disengage. Relevant not quite quick enough. He can't see the Syndra, so he can't stop it, but the mist coming out. Irrelevant not done. Coasting, just trying to zoom in. Doss now ready to back him up. Big damage coming in for the Syndra. Can they finish off this Gwen? Oh my, follow up Sertuss, sleeping in, cleaning up kills. Cap's now under the tower. Markoon going to drop the Herald. In the second the Herald aggros from the tower. Now SK can collapse on the Syndra. There is no way out.
There's no
Clean
way.
fight, clean play. Yes, G2 get the dragon, but that is not a good trade.
This is SK just punishing G2's execution. Every single time they're getting the better of their opposition. They now have a 1.5k gold lead. 6 kills to 0. They did lose the Drake, but they're in such a commanding position right now. Sertuss is just picking up kill after kill after kill. He's at 4 now. Leandri's is completed. SK, they need wins right now. They find themselves at the bottom of the standings. The Dragon started here for Yike, he secures it. The TP collapse comes in from Irrelevant from behind. It can't be matched by BrokenBlade. Caps is in such an awkward position, completely isolating the fight in 3 fronts. As you have the Aphelios throwing the ultimate from over the wall, rooting up Yike. Mikyx being isolated from the rest of his team, and then Hansama being chased down by Irrelevant. And then when Caps does arrive, Irrelevant doesn't care. With the assistance of DOS, he's able to force them both back. Sertuss then has to flash in to secure the kill. And with nowhere to go, Caps has to lose his life too. But what a great fight from SK and a great collapse from Irrelevant. We talked about how I think he's one of the strongest laners in the league right now. But his Gwen performance is already looking very strong. Massive impact in the team fight.
Yeah, and staying close to BrokenBlade and overall gold from the kills, from the assists, from the presence in those fights, despite BrokenBlade getting so many plates in the individual 1v1. Gwen, now with a bit more sustain, maybe can start to take over the lane. Overall, coordination has just really been there from the side of SK. And for G2, like, you can see how important Mikyx is to keeping Han safe. When he steps forward, when he uses that Unbreakable, if they can't immediately win the fight in the duration of that cooldown, it's so hard for them to play out the rest. And Markoon as well, opting for, you know, more damage amplification here if he can find the CC. Not a lot of other sources of hard CC, but still like the purchase. And Rageblade.
Yeah, Rageblade has been finished. Cap still working towards his first item. Tell you right now, as a mid laner, it's super annoying when you've just been laning, think you're laning pretty well because you press tab and you see you have a CS advantage. He's like, why does he have 4 kills, guys?
That's 1,000 gold ahead. And to be honest, Sertuss struggled yesterday, had a rough day. So this is a pretty nice day. He's kind of been roaming first, showing up to finish off these kills. I don't think he's made any like crazy plays on his own quite yet. He's mostly just kind of been the benefactor of so many of these other... Beneficiary, that's right.
Said that yesterday and I noticed it and then I was like, that's the trap I always fall into too.
Thing is, I used to have it right in my head, but then...
then I ruined it?
Yes.
What's the wrong one that Vedius always says?
What's that? That's the one I remember more now.
Yeah.
Bad news. Syndra behind in items. And worst champ as we get later in the game, short of a perfect 4-man. Ooh, winner. We're going to give him sidestep credit there on the side of Caps.
Hell yeah. It's a good one from Caps. Well, hang on. All in, top lane.
All in. BrokenBlade doesn't win that one. Needles coming out. Snip, snip, baby. Irrelevant smashing in the 1v1.
That's what the Gwen Cassante matchup's supposed to look like. No getting bullied out of lane this time. Irrelevant stands strong, gets himself a solo kill. Caps does have the flash. Looks like he's not going to commit it though.
Yeah.
Likely just going to secure himself the tower. But well played from SK. 7-0 is the scoreline right now. They just need to maintain this performance. A win over G2. Weirdly enough, right? This doesn't happen often, but it's happened more often than you would expect.
Yeah.
And we even joked about it, right? Expectations coming into this game would be that G2, the heavy, clear favorites, especially with SK's recent performance. So what's likely to happen? G2's probably going to lose. And we find ourselves 15 minutes into the game. 7-0 is the scoreline. A 1.5k goal deficit isn't the biggest. Definitely a world where G2 comes back into this game, but really this has been G2 overforcing, overstepping, and SK have just been there to punish.
And the thing is, credit to SK and also credit to Markoon, because his early game was rough. Despite the fact that they got the kill onto Yike, he's still wildly far behind in terms of XP, but he's been able to catch up, or sorry, in terms of gold and CS, but he's been able to catch up a little bit here, and he's been able to have a bigger impact, because overall, Yike, while he was doing more with jungle pathing, while he was pulling ahead in camps, he's 0-3-0, and that's a 0-0-5 Sejuani on the opposite side. Markoon having much more impact in the game thus far. See if he can keep that going as we get later and later in the game. It looks like they're looking to dive onto BrokenBlade. For now, they're relevant. Happy to just deny as much CS as possible. What's the option here? Is he trying to kill it? Is he trying to deny CS? It looks like denying CS is the choice.
Yep. Very common pro player move. The cannon has been lost. -1s in chat. Obviously not BrokenBlade's fault, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to lose that gold. And it's an easy setup for the Dragon. The Herald to be exchanged on the other side of the map, as they continue to try and funnel gold into Han Summer. And when we look at the scoreboard, he is kind of right now the saving grace for G2.
Yep.
He has a 100 gold lead over his AD carry counterpart, level 10, late game Kog'Maw. Something that in Europe we don't get to see very often, but we've seen it enough to know the damage that it can do.
Let's see. Obviously going for the recurve bow. Could be a couple of different items. We'll see what the focus is. Wouldn't surprise me to see a Kraken. Board, not bad. So depends on what he wants to go for here. Kraken obviously just an incredible sustained damage item, especially with the synergy on Ginsu's.
Yeah, it does synergize, right?
Yeah. To be honest, it's one of those things where like 80 carry items got reworked. I knew Ginsu's was super OP, and then after a week, I never saw it again.
Yeah,
Straight back to Gale Force to board.
Yep. Infinity Infinity Edge is just crying in the corner.
Yeah.
Please someone buy me.
Yeah, we had the conversation
used to be
already.
so popular.
Gale Force is so weird because it's like every single AD carry item very clearly fits a specific type of AD carry. You know, you've got your big crit with the Infinity, you've got the spell cast with Navori, you've got the on-hit effects, and then you've got Gale Force. Which is like, what AD carry's identity is centered around having an extra dash? All of them? None of them?
That dash is also an execute.
It's just like, we just all accept this item is so broken, it has to be a mythic.
Yep. Down. Markoon. Is he going to throw his ult? Hang on a minute.
Knock up, follow up here. Aftershock still triggering. Exakick getting body blocked here on the chakrams though. Yike now is going to find one. The cleanse going to be forced out here. G2 getting a couple major cooldowns there. Flash, heal, and cleanse from the bot lane of SK.
If you don't, at some point in this cast, make a dog in me reference, I'm going to be very upset.
He's got that dog in him.
Yeah, that's...
You should have just said that. You should have saved that for yourself. I appreciate...
No. You gotta say it, you know? Like, if Hans Sama has the moment.
I hate this skin.
I know, but it's so funny.
It with a burning passion.
I was reminded of it when Hans Sama was just going, arr, in the mid lane. And then I was like, oh, he's got that dog in him. And I was like, oh, he does.
He is a dog.
He is literally a dog.
This is a horrifying skin.
Little puppy spitting on you.
He's just vomiting on you.
Not spit.
Is that better? How much is that better by?
I think it's better than vomit. I'm going to say it.
I'll just say it's weird how okay dog owners are with just being slaughtered.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like, that's, like you can tell who's owned dogs based on how they feel about being slaughtered.
It's true, man. Yeah. When I had dogs, I really didn't mind it. It was fun. And it was just like, it was whatever.
Yeah, it's like, it feels a little culty to me, by the way. It's just a little weird.
Wait, BrokenBlade is in danger.
Is in danger. Gwen still immune, irrelevant.
He's still
kicking off in this fight. And here comes one more member. Herald has been used, and BrokenBlade now needs to get the hell out, but there's no room, there's no space to do so. Not quite a 1v1, but pretty damn close. Hans Sama and G2 going to break open mid lane, though, in exchange. So not a bad trade overall, but SK holding on to the lead and irrelevant only getting stronger.
Yeah, here's what I will say. Considering how far ahead SK feel like they should be, the gold gap does not really represent that. A lot of the gold advantage is just purely sitting on Irrelevant, and don't get me wrong, he's doing a lot of work in the side lane, getting effectively 2 solo kills onto BrokenBlade. Nice awareness there from Irrelevant. G2 looking for a fight in mid here.
Yep. The advantage that they had previously was the tower. SK now trying to even things out. Ultimate zoning them away. The root going to connect. There's no more cleanses now. Immediately onto the backside, firing back to the Aphelios ultimate, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Yike now needs to back away because Hans Sama's getting lower and lower. Sertuss now going to scoop him right back up. Send the tree into the waiting arms of the rest of the team. Hans Sama barely getting out, but he's ticking. He's burning. Oh, Leandri's Anguish doing so much work there to finish the job, but that's the Kog'Maw passive. Hans Sama utilizing it to the fullest, but it does not matter because it is SK's fight.
SK get 4 kills. And the Baron is alive, with Irrelevant alive and Exakick. That's more than enough damage to secure this objective. G2 tried to find a flank in mid, tried to find a window where Irrelevant couldn't be in the fight, but they just didn't have the damage needed to come out ahead. The crucial thing here is the positioning. As you can see, the carries are kind of left exposed. Hans Sama gets a free hit onto DOS and Exakick, and the fight initially looks very promising for G2. Ooh. They kind of melt away the support. The TP then comes in from Irrelevant. You can see Caps off on your screen trying to keep Irrelevant busy, preventing him from getting into the fight. 4 versus 3. But then Sertuss knocks Yike over the wall, flashes in to get that kill. And Sertuss doing enough work in the fight to provide time for Irrelevant to join the fray, find that execute, and then I actually completely missed what happened to Caps in the fight, because he had very little impact. He basically TP'd in and died, I guess?
333 damage. Not a lot here. Total dominance in these fight coming up from SK. Irrelevant now over the wall. The most strong member of the team who wasn't even there in the previous one. Using the ultimate. Chunking out Mikyx. Have to wait on that unbreakable cooldown if they want to kick this fight off. But SK didn't break open mid, but still very strong. Only good news for G2 there is that Hans Sama was able to get that shutdown onto Sertuss. 700 extra gold in his pocket. And the fighting gold's still very close. BrokenBlade has to be careful. Bit of a whiff there. Unbreakable now to body block any potential follow-up. Exakick, terrible guns for a fight. But it just does not matter. They are simply too far ahead at this point in the game.
G2 likely just going to concede this dragon. No point in trying to fight it when you're this far behind. SK really throwing their wallets around at this point.
And I mean, well earned.
Yeah, I mean, they just consistently punished G2 in the early game.
Yeah, G2 absolutely overforcing on the bottom side, costing them dearly, and now as we get into the mid game, they're not giving anything back to G2. No matter how many creative angles they've found thus far, SK just keeping the pressure on. Eyes on the prize though, have to be careful here. Mikyx now immediately gonna fall. The knocker banner off the shifting sand. Sertuss gonna get taken out one more time, and now it's Mikyx into the waiting arms of Exakick, but there's a tower there, they can't turn this back. Mikyx taken out by the ultimate of Exakick.
Ends up being a 1-for-1 trade.
Or the
a
turret,
nice
rather.
chain CC from G2 means that they can find a pick onto Sertuss, but this isn't gonna slow down the aggression of Irrelevant. He's gonna lock in another tower bot lane. 13-3 is the kills. 5,000 is the goal difference between the two teams, and SK, they're going to be happy with the spoils. Go back to base, spend their money, and make their way back out onto the map. Next Dragonaut for another 4 minutes. No real objectives on the map to play for, so you'll start getting that deeper vision in, and just leverage the fact that Irrelevant is so strong on a side lane, there's no one that can really stop him. You can see the Abyssal Mask from BrokenBlade to try and mitigate some of the damage.
But it's just so hard.
So
when Irrelevant can kill Yike and BrokenBlade pretty effortlessly, when he has the mist available as well, it's like, what do Kog'Maw and Syndra do? I mean, nothing in that context, right? So it's going to be so tricky for G2 to play out these fights. Having a fed Gwen on the opposite team when you're so reliant on this Kog'Maw for damage is a bit tricky. Looks like Wit's End coming in next makes sense against the double AP threats on the opposite side.
The SK support staying strong. Fans in the audience trying to make sure that SK know they have that support. Markoon looking.
Fishing, nice sidestep from Cap. Slow still connecting, but not enough to get the job done. That's a sad B. It's BrokenBlade again, gonna take down a tower here, so a bit more gold into his pocket. It's still a 2.6k individual gold deficit, however, as Irrelevant is a monster and is just ignoring the Syndra. Might cost him, however. Is it another shutdown over to Hansama? He still snipes him! The needles all the way. Irrelevant trying to stand up, trying to stand strong, but Hansama getting another massive shutdown. SK biting off a bit more than they can chew on the bottom side. Pullback is there. BrokenBlade looking for the 1v1 versus Markoon, looking to take the pig out of the equation.
Question is, have SK overstayed here? We talked about how there weren't many easy objectives for them to play for. They committed 2 members top, 3 members mid. They were chipping away at this mid tier 2. But by overcommitting to that dive, while yes, you get a kill onto Caps, you gave so much money over to Hansama. And he's probably the one player you really don't want to be funneling gold into. You also get a kill onto Markoon too. And you just kind of get in the way of the momentum. Look at the goals. Hansama nearly matching Irrelevant. Of course, that doesn't take away the fact that Sertuss and Exakick are right behind him, but you're just giving more potential avenues for G2 to crawl back into this game. And here, Irrelevant going for the dive onto Caps. Like, Caps tries to get within range of the mist. Irrelevant says, okay, cool, I'll kill you. Knows the timing of the stopwatch, throws out the ultimate, but then he's like, oh, well, okay, I guess I'll... He tries to get the kill onto Hansama and does good damage, but it's not enough. And then Markoon, obviously, is in an awkward position. A good ultimate from BrokenBlade means that there's no real way for Markoon to get to safety. Anyway, we come back to live. 25 minutes in, SK still hold the lead.
Certainly do. Markoon now finishing the Abyssal Mask as well. Love it with the double AP threats in his respective solo lanes. Potentially do so much damage. You saw it in the gold earlier. Hansama, the big threat for G2. There are 3 threats on the side of SK. Sertuss, Exakick, and Irrelevant, all incredibly strong at this stage of the game. Cap's working towards that 3rd item, but Sertuss already has that death cap completed. BrokenBlade, if he can find and isolate Exakick, he can do a lot of work, but any other target is going to be a bit trickier.
Irrelevant level 16. Oof. That is very strong.
Level 3 ulti.
You always have to be suspicious when the observers lower the HUD.
Yep. Is a fight breaking out? How much damage does Kog'Maw do? Have to find out here shortly. Trying to break down that tower before they step forward. A lot of champions laying down turrets here. SK building their own fake Heimerdinger.
Yeah, they've got their own, like, armada here. They're slowly building a castle. If you have Talia's wall, you're like,
look, baby, it balloons. They're just lining them up.
True.
Sertuss. I mean, they're just poking. I kind of respect it. You got 4 members here. You've got a Gwen that really can't be answered on the top side of the map. Just take your time. Just don't get engaged on the pullback. Sertuss is big immediately. Mikyx now fishing for the ball, but it's not going to connect. TP now coming in. G2 just need to disengage. They get it from Irrelevant, though. He overcommits. commits! The Gwen disappears just like that, and this is a fight that could go in the favor of G2, but Exakick now looking to fire back. Just a bit of damage onto Yike. G2 coming out on top for now. SK overconfident on that mid lane TP.
This does unlock the Dragon as an option for G2, but the Baron is alive as well with Irrelevant. As you said, no TP means that he can't really rejoin the fight even if he does respawn, and G2 are going to commit to the objective. SK are going to concede it. They're going to say, you know what? The soul point is more important. G2, I guess it makes sense. They're saying that all this Baron does is stabilize G2. They're saying we still have good scaling, we can still win out on the team fights. They don't suddenly have an answer to Irrelevant's threat in a side lane.
Yeah.
They've been able to find a kill. Sure, that's all well and good. But when we fight for the next Dragon, we're going to be in a better position. So we'll wait for another 5 minutes. We'll concede that Baron for now, and we'll continue to play the waiting game. The problem is Hans Sama getting closer to level 15. Let's see what he purchases here.
A BF sword.
It looks like he's going for the GA next.
Makes sense. Has a stopwatch. And the good news for SK fans, you don't have to worry too much right now because SK are still stronger overall. But
oh yeah,
the stopwatch coming in, I was starting to get concerned for Sertuss in the fights to come because while Caps is behind, once he finishes that death cap, the one-shot potential full combo is still very real on some of these squishier members. DOS has to have enough cooldowns up to make sure he can mitigate that. But you can see overall, SK leading in damage pretty much across the board outside of the jungle position where a little cheeky AP Maokai is matching things up. G2, what can they get done? 2 minutes where they're in control of the game. Need to even up the gold, need to get as much done as humanly possible here before this buff expires.
Well, again, it's largely just a stabilizing Baron buff, right? And even then, Irrelevant's just like, hello, remember me, BrokenBlade? He's like, unfortunately, yes, I do. He has a few more defensive resources now, making it a little bit harder, but Irrelevant working on shredding through that as he gets closer to his Void Staff. G2 actually pushing in the tier 2 in the bot lane. Irrelevant TPing.
Irrelevant back in.
Nice block from Mikyx.
Mikyx, quick reaction speed to make sure the carries aren't vulnerable here. Just trying to shred through this tier 2. Will take a bit more time. Can't keep them going. Caps, nice flash to the side to keep them alive. Yeah, throwing down the ultimate just to make sure that there's no potential fall, but here comes Irrelevant. Want to keep this one going. Baron buff and powered recall by Hansama doing so much work. Mikyx there to body block off to the side is Yike. Irrelevant now ghosting through. Hansama taking so much damage from the needles. Irrelevant taking a blue buff. Yeah, skip and slash out to safety, but G2 still coming pretty close to even in that exchange overall, taking the enemy AD carry out. Now they can continue the siege. Exakick caught sleeping. Hansama doing so much damage.
Hans and Mikyx able to get that kill onto Exakick was absolutely massive with the Baron buff. Are they going to try and end it? Look, Maokai's trying to keep Irrelevant from getting back to base.
One more Unbreakable from Mikyx can mitigate so much potential damage fall. Exakick being down is big. Irrelevant having to run all the way back to base. For now, it is just a single tower, but SK on the edge here. They were so far ahead for so much of this game, but G2 keeping them on the ropes.
Exakick spawning back in 5 seconds. They decided that overstaying wasn't worth it. When we get a replay, just watch Mikyx and Hans. Huge props to Mikyx. He's had a difficult game. He's been really shut down as one of the core frontline members. But in that final exchange, it was just really strong execution between him and Hans. And again, just keep track of this bot lane duo so that it starts off with the block that came out onto the Sejuani ultimate. Caps gets forced away. Good poke comes out from SK. But then Mikyx here lands the ultimate onto Exakick. The passive gets propped, but the cleanse can't clear the knockup. And then Hansama just lands auto.
Yep.
And he's able to get that kill.
You actually have to bark like a dog when you want to...
Woof, 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 woof.
There you go.
Just clean execution from Hansama. You know, I made that sound way more complicated than it was, but Hansama literally just stood behind the shield and then just right-clicked furiously.
And that's the thing is, when you think about Braum, you have to understand that he's one of the best scaling supports in the game just because of his E. Because no matter how absolutely useless he can look in terms of gold overall, that ability to just block auto attacks against an Aphelios is
3,000 damage in that fight.
Yeah, that's total damage this game.
Oh right,
he did not do 3,000 damage.
I was gonna say
that's
a lot of damage in a fight.
I don't know what Herf AP Braum you're looking at right now. That's the entire game.
I was like, wow, that's crazy.
I'm more impressed that you didn't bat an eye at like the 28,000 damage.
It's because, so what happened was I swear they showed a graphic just a second ago that said damage that because the Kog'Maw was at 4,000. So I looked at that graphic, and then when I looked again, I saw the Braum at 3,000. Now I was like, huh.
Graphs.
Yeah, my bad. Right, that's it. I'll take the L on that one.
Look, it's all right. The most important thing is who's going to take the L on the Ocean Drake here. Because SK, again, very good if they can get it. Now, they can afford to give it up if they don't feel like they have vision control here. They don't have to die on this hill or on this Drake, so to speak. But now, both sides grouping, ready. Irrelevant still fishing for that flank angle.
Irrelevant just lost 10% of his HP. No, 15% of his HP to the sad leg
of the Maokai. Still frustrating despite all the nerfs. And obviously it's a lot of AP and not a lot of defensive stats for the build here for Irrelevant.
Markoon fishing.
Shirelio's used.
Yeah.
Okay, G2 staying strong here. Fighting into a Braum. Very bad idea.
I mean, the luxury that G2 have is their bot wave is slowly pushing in their favor because of the super minions, so they really don't have to worry about that. All that matters is the mid contest.
BrokenBlade continuing to poke here.
Will go immune. Now has control over the mid wave. Now, this is a dangerous game for G2 to play because SK can afford to abandon this and just choose to push down mids, but instead they're going to contest. BrokenBlade
backing off, trying to create space. 6K getting lower and lower. Markoon is going to be able to get to the pit. It looks like they're not going to take the opportunity to force a fight, but now the Maokai will just come out and maybe they can look to turn. Exakick trying to turn back in response. BrokenBlade getting the Gwen away from the rest of his team. Oh, and Hansama! Here he comes, baby! He might not have that dog in him, but right now Sertuss sure does. Shut down, baby. Over to the Kog'Maw. Shut down to Caps as well. Dominant fight for the side of G2. An extended exchange, the Kog'Maw Syndra coming out on top.
And you have to think back to that single overstep in top lane. SK, this game was in their control and they overstayed their welcome. G2 punish it. And now with a one team fight, they're looking to end right here, right now.
Doing decent damage here, but a single mark is going to be big. The knockback, oh, the immediate stun follow-up, and Hansama once more. He's not happy with just an AD carry. He wants to support too. G2 out of nowhere. It was SK in the early game. It was SK in the mid game. But here, at the end of the road, is G2 standing tall and taking the win.
SK did such a great job at punishing the mistakes of G2. They were winning so many fights. They made Caps a non-factor. Irrelevant was completely dominating in the side lane. And then it all comes back to that top lane dive. The fact that they then had to concede that Baron, it just allowed G2 to reset the game and gave them that neutral footing to fight on. All the while, Hansama was getting stronger and stronger. And in the end, it was him that came out massive alongside Mikyx to really swing the game in their favor and secure that victory for G2.
And Hansama doing what Elk couldn't, winning that game on the Kog'Maw. Just a
Hans greater than Elk.
That's what we saw. At the end of the day, though, heartbreaking for SK because that one, it felt like it was their game. It felt like they were.
But also, like, it's just kind of a summary of SK's split as well, where it feels like that it feels like that they're not always thinking everything through. You know, like whatever advantages they do get, sometimes that they're overcomplicating it, they're too quick to rush. The advantage that they had was like a 5k gold lead. And we literally said that there's no Dragon, no Baron, you just need to take your time, right? You don't need to overforce, you don't need to overstep. You can play that 4-1 setup, keep the 4 members mid, let Irrelevant push in top, and when Irrelevant inevitably draws pressure, just take another tower mid. It's just simple stuff, you know, keep the vision up, keep control, take your time. But they had to overforce, they had to over-aggress. And then G2, they see that window, and a team like this, you can't give them that inch because they're immediately going to punish you for it.
Certainly are. While SK might have needed to take their time, you need to rush over to Twitter. You need to rush. We should head on over to Twitter at LEC. You saw it on your screen. Yike, Hans, Mikyx, your options.
What I will say about this game and how G2 have looked in general, Man and Fnatic stocks right now on the rise.
On the rise.
You know, both these teams are looking clean in a lot of their wins, and I'm excited to see what they can do, especially on our next game.
I am too, but I'm also excited to hear from the victorious support as Trouble's standing by with Mickey.
Thank you very much, Drakos. Congratulations, Mickey, on this win. You were a nominee for Player of the Game. Do you think you deserve it?
Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think I did anything spectacular or anything. I was just kind of there. I think Kog'Maw was kind of spitting. He was doing pretty well.
But if you were not there,
well,
he couldn't spit.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Now, Vicky, of course, that's great that you got the W. What happened in this early game, though?
I think we were a little bit overconfident with our invades and our Drake starts. We were a bit ambitious.
Some dives?
Yeah, some dives as well. That was, quite something. But it never felt like we were really far behind because, well, the bounties didn't pop, the objective bounties. And looking across CS and plates, we were ahead in all of those. So it didn't feel doomed at any point, even though they had 6-0 or something, or 9-0 at some point. Still felt like we outscaled them and worked out in the end.
Okay, what do you mean by super far ahead? Because SK was 5,000 gold up on you guys. Is that something that you feel like in the current meta doesn't really bother you when you have a scale in AD carry?
I mean, 5K is actually quite big. I didn't think it was going to be 5K. And I mean, their champs are like pretty decent with items. So, you know, in theory, they should have won this game. But in game, it didn't feel like that. In game, it was maybe like 1-2K difference. But we played like pretty well from behind, I felt like. And as long as we just peel for the Kog'Maw, like the only danger is if he gets Azir ulted. As long as we don't let that happen, I think we just win, like no matter what. So, and Kog'Maw was actually ahead compared to everyone else. So it felt very winnable throughout the game.
Your Kog'Maw had 2.4K up on the Aphelios,
Makes
so
sense, makes
that's
sense.
why maybe the gold lead didn't look that bad. Now, of course, coming into this particular game, you mentioned Kog'Maw a lot, and we've seen him here and there, but like with the likes of Lulu or Emilio as well. How come you guys picked it with the Braum?
I feel like Kog'Maw Braum is actually pretty strong. I think I could consider it stronger than Lulu, I would say. I think Emilio Kog'Maw, pretty good as well. Maybe as good as Braum, but Braum is just like kind of good blind because usually if you pick it with an enchanter, the danger is everyone can go on you and just like one-shot you. But with Braum, when you stand in front of him, he feels a bit unkillable. And whenever I hit a Q, then probably just he one-shots them from the stun. So it just seems good in general. And even though they picked an enchanter like Lulu, it didn't feel like they actually had that much pressure in lane either. So yeah.
Okay, I know you're not necessarily satisfied with this early game, but are you satisfied with the current form of G2?
Yeah, I guess we're all right now. Could be better, but I think, yeah, we're doing fine.
All right, Mickey, thank you very much for the interview. Congrats on the win as well. I'm going to throw it over to either break. It is break. I'm going to throw it over to the break. But be back for the last game of the day.
Yike making his way back towards bot, threatening the dive. We need the lock up here, breakable down. They need to back away from this one, but the root is there. Mickey overstaying. Well, Yike is going to be in trouble the second time. He's going to die in this exact same area. There's no way out.
Oh, W. Slå, go back. TPK. I'm ulting. We can kill front, maybe. Yeah. Nice, huge.
Fight, but now the Maokai will just come out. Maybe they can look to turn. Exakick trying to turn back in response. BrokenBlade getting the Gwen away from the rest of his team. Oh, and Han Sama, here he comes, baby. He might not have that dog in him, but right now Sertuss sure does. Shut down, baby. Over to the Kog'Maw.
The tale of Nisqy and Humanoid is a testament to the unpredictable nature of the esports realm.
Nisqy hot on the run, but he gets one. He gets two.
1 versus 5, and Nisqy gets 2 kills.
I'm just a rookie.
It all began when Humanoid stepped into the limelight. He replaced Nisqy and Splice.
He's a very talented, aggressive mid laner, and it's exactly who we were looking to get.
And then Destiny once again brought these two players together.
Usually Nisqy went to the team that I left, and I went to the teams that he left. I was in Fnatic, then he joined Fnatic, then I was on the bench, then I joined his team, and now we're like on the opposite team, right?
Even though Nisqy tirelessly proved himself as one of the best, he always seems to come up second fiddle to Humanoid.
People probably think he's better or like more flashy just because I think he plays very much for himself. For me, give up wave or something, I would do it. He likes a lot of Gragas, but I don't think Gragas is that strong, so I don't think his main champions are meta, and I don't think my champions are meta, so I think it's kind of even. This meta suits me more than it does for him.
Humanoid, on the other side, with his impressive debut, made it to Worlds in his first year and ended up going 3 more times. He also secured 2 LEC titles with the Mad Lions, contributing to the best year Mad has ever had. While Nisqy has faced his fair share of challenges, he has never experienced a fall quite as deep as Humanoid in the Winter Split, marking Fnatic's worst result in history.
Fnatic on their way to their worst ever performance!
Mad Lions is for me always a really fun matchup because it was my old team.
Nisqy the next target! That's another! That's another! That's 4! Humanoid, you absolute monster!
They have players that step up towards the games where it matters. That is one of the reasons why they always perform.
Humanoid's gonna land the chains onto Nisqy. Does pop the damage reduction, but just can't get away. The Nisqy's down. Humanoid onto the back line, no one else is down. Humanoid is absolutely on fire.
There were lots of stuff that the Mad Lions people would like teach me of like how Humanoid would do it or like how they taught Humanoid how to do this and that. That's why at the end I think he's still a great player, yeah.
Nisqy trying to get away, but Humanoid will not let him. Humanoid trying to survive.
We almost beat them in a best of 5 last time, and I think right now we are better than last time, so I think we should win. Oh yeah, we'll see.
Mad Lions!
Can Nisqy silence the doubts and reaffirm his status as a better mid laner? Or can Humanoid make a statement that he doesn't need Mad Lions anymore, and he's prepared to lead a new era with Fnatic?